So check out these dogs. These are my street dogs. I got a little house for them. They kind of use it like a bunk bed. There's three dogs who are actually right here. This one right here, Loba, then Nena, and then the other one's Rodney. So they're always in front of my house. So we put a little house right there for them. So they all bunk it in there on top or on inside of there. So right now I'm on my way to work. I'm on my way to tattoo. This is what I do daily. Well, this whole week I've been busy with work, so that's a good thing. You know, one of the things about this trade that has helped me so much, because I didn't even know I was gonna tattoo here in Mexico, but today I'm tattooing. You know, it's been 10 years, and if it wasn't for this, honestly, life could have been much harder. You know, I know that there's a lot of job opportunities in call centers for people who speak English. You know, there's a lot of opportunity there. If you don't join a call center, then you're gonna have to be stuck in a job that pays way less. But fortunately, I learned how to tattoo in prison, and when I got out here, this was my main source of income, and it's been really good for me. You know, good living. You know, for the most part, I'm very grateful to tattooing. It's given me a good life, and I've been able to enjoy a lot of things because of tattooing. You know, in my previous video, I talked about being deported and what it was like coming out into Mexico. I want to talk about what it was like, you know, the pressure of doing something when you're in a country that doesn't really have a lot of opportunities. It doesn't really help you. There's no handouts. There's no government aid. None of that. And if there is, it's for older people, and it's very, very, very tiny fraction that the government does actually help. So it was kind of hard, you know. I didn't really want to work for a particular business or company here because their salaries are small. You know, it's not much to be able to live off. A lot of people can make it happen, but my particular situation, or what I wanted to accomplish, wasn't that. I wanted to always try to make it. I remember in 2015 when I got a few months after that, me and my wife went to an expo, and in this expo, it was a tattoo expo. I had previously tattooed in prison for about 10 years, and all I knew was tattooing in prison. So I wanted to see what it was like to tattoo in the streets, to tattoo professionally out of a tattoo shop or a tattoo expo. I wanted to see the quality, the big difference in quality in tattooing out here in the free world. So I went to this expo. It just so happens I bumped into an old friend there from prison who used to tattoo with me in prison, and now he had built a tattoo shop, and he was tattooing at this expo, and we recognized each other, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I told him I just got out, and he's like, "Come over to my shop. This is the address. Come over." So I went there, and I was checking out the place. We were catching up, and he was like, "Hey, you want a tattoo? You want to start working?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah, let's do this." But at the same time, I was scared because I knew it was a different thing, you know, a different type of tattooing. So I was kind of afraid, but at the same time, I wanted to do it. I didn't know what I was going to do for work. You know, I was looking around to see what I can do, thinking of going to school and learning a trade here. I had only been out for like 3 months or 4 months at the most, and I knew that the pressure was there for me to work. My wife wanted me to work because she wanted me to start, you know. I'm starting at 42, just getting out of prison after serving 20 years, so I had to catch up in many ways. You know, I had to build a life that most people by 42 have pretty much accomplished or is accomplishing, and I had nothing. So I needed to figure it out. My wife wanted me to figure it out because she's not one to like baby me through this thing, you know. She wanted me to go and get it. So yeah, I started working, you know, after looking for work here in Tijuana, which was kind of difficult because everywhere I went, it was hard to get a job. They didn't want to hire me because I didn't have experience. I barely knew how to use a computer.
I tried call centers, they didn't want to hire me. I tried a couple jobs, they didn't want to hire me. So it was hard, because when you're not from here, I thought back then it was kind of hard to get a job. They didn't want to give you the opportunity, or you just didn't qualify with all the requirements that they asked for. So it was hard for me to get a job. So tattooing seemed like the best thing for me to do. So I started working with my friend, and it was different because I had never tattooed professionally. People have never really paid me with their hard-earned cash for me to do a tattoo. So it used to be hard. It was a struggle. I used to get nervous. I got through that period, and if it wasn't for tattooing, I don't know what I would be doing. Tattooing has been really good to me. It has offered me a good life, and I've been able to accomplish a lot of things, that probably another type of work wouldn't have done for me. It would have been harder. I may not have like insurance and things like that, like an employment would offer, but I have a little bit more financial gains, it's been good. I love tattooing, and the thought of people wearing my art and showcasing my art and recommending me, that has been a blessing, and it's one of the greatest things that can happen, to someone, because people like talk about you, and it's good. So yeah, I've been tattooing for 10 years here in Tijuana, and I used to have another shop before, and then after that I started installing garage doors. Then I went back to tattooing, and I've been tattooing for a while already. Again, I always had a mindset of hustling. I was trying to make, I remember that in prison I didn't want to really like sit down and play board games and play cards, because I always thought about the future. I wanted to draw. I wanted to like be able to sell cards, be able to sell drawings, little things that I can do to make ends meet in there, because I knew that my family couldn't provide for me. So I would draw instead of just playing cards and playing board games, and then expecting my family to take care of me. So I always had that hustling mindset, and it took years before I started tattooing in there, which actually people would pay me to tattoo them. It was a business in there for me. It wasn't legal, but I did it anyways. I did have a life sentence, and I didn't really care of the outcome at that time. I started taking things seriously, and my time in there as well, when my wife came into my life, and she wanted me to do better. She wanted me to stay focused and do everything possible for me to get out of prison. Up until then, I really didn't care. I thought that I was going to stay there for the rest of my life, and that was my mindset. So I didn't try up until she came into my life. Then at that point, I had to change. I had to change a lot of things that I was doing that wouldn't let me come home. It was my turning point. I started going to groups. I started learning about self-help. I started learning about anger management, not being a gang member. But I started learning about all those things that contributed to the lifestyle and would keep me there if I kept doing these things, And that changed the path from there. So it taught me one thing. It was the mindset, the things that you put effort into it that change your future. If you don't put into it, if you don't work on it, it's like everything else, like a muscle. If you don't work at it, you're not going to develop it, and you start thinking differently. And that's what helped me when I got out. I was already thinking differently as far as like, okay, what do I need to do, how I need to behave, and it's the type of person that I want to become. And I would look at people and absorb who they were, because I wanted to be like them. Of course, today I'm not where I wish I could be, but I'm at a good place. But I still strive, because it's in me now that I always want to like surpass the me who's today. I want to surpass them and become better each day. And whatever I got to do to accomplish that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about money, and I want to be rich or anything like that. But I want to be able to have something, that I haven't had for all that time that I was in prison. I want to have that pride of I made it happen. I want to be remembered that way. I want to be able, for myself, my own pride, I want to know that I can accomplish these things, and I was able to accomplish these things. But it started from prison because I learned that mindset, and that mindset in there that helped me strive, that helped me focus on things. And once you put focus into things, man, things start changing. It's about all the effort that you go into it with, that helps you change in the future.